Andromeda. Stretched out across the evening sky, one group of stars forms the shape of a beautiful girl bound by chains. This is Andromeda, a royal princess, being sacrificed to a horrible sea monster, Cetus. He lurks menacingly nearby. The daughter of King Cepheus and Queen Cassiopeia of Ethiopia, Andromeda was famed for her beauty. While the king doted quietly on his daughter, the queen was very vain and fond of bragging. One day she claimed to everyone who would listen that her daughter was lovelier even than the Nereids, the exquisite sea beings in red coral crowns and sand-white robes, the ones who accompanied Poseidon, the god of the sea. When Poseidon heard these ill-guarded words, he was enraged. To teach her a lesson, he called on Cetus. Cetus was a terrible sea monster. He had monstrous jaws and a coiling body covered in silver scales. Cetus was commanded to ravage the coast of Ethiopia, whip up waves, raise floods, devastate the land. In despair, the terrified people called on their king for help. Cepheus consulted the oracle and begged the gods with all his heart to guide him. The oracle's words were harsh. "Sacrifice your daughter to Cetus. There is no other way to save your kingdom." The king was heartbroken, but he had no choice. He had to do what the oracle ordered. While his wife looked on, now in bitter remorse of her bragging, he ordered Andromeda to be chained to a rock in the sea. At that very moment, Perseus came flying through the air on winged sandals. Fresh from slaying Medusa, he was on his way home when he sighted Andromeda standing as still as a marble statue. Her hair was softly blowing in the breeze. He was captivated by her beauty and anguished by her plight. He asked her name. At first Andromeda was not in the mood to talk. Instead, she cried. But eventually she told Perseus her sorry story. Before she could finish her story, a brooding gray head and shining neck rose from the sea, parting the waves, surging towards her. As Andromeda's screams rang out, Perseus seized his sword and called to her parents, "Let me marry your daughter, and I will rescue her from this beast." Fine. Of course, the parents gave their permission, but by now the sea monster was so close, Andromeda could feel its foul, festering breath. Without delay, Perseus swooped down and drove his sword into the creature's barnacle-encrusted flesh, letting out a deafening roar. Wounded Cetus reared up and twisted around, snapping wildly at his attacker. Again and again Perseus struck, flying swiftly out of the way of the menacing jaws. With the creature bloodied and tired, Perseus struck the final blow. At last, Cetus collapsed and sank to the depths of the sea to never be seen again. Soon afterwards, to much rejoicing, Andromeda and Perseus were married. As Perseus entertained the guests with tales of his Gorgon-slaying exploits, a commotion broke out in the hall. The king's brother, Phineus, bragging and blustering, claimed that it was he, not Perseus, who was meant to marry Andromeda. Quick as a flash, Perseus took off Medusa's head and turned Phineus into stone. In time, Andromeda bade farewell to her parents and followed Perseus back to Greece. They had many children, and they lived happily. They ruled well and long. And when Andromeda and Perseus died, the gods honored them by placing them in the skies as stars, brightly shining along Cassiopeia, and just out of reach of Cetus's deadly coils.